Welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to give a look into what kind of perks and skills you should be looking for at the start of the game, because it can be quite overwhelming, but also as well how to actually level up your skills. Specifically, what we'll start with first is skill trainers. But before I get into it, I'm giving away a copy of this game, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave me a comment down below telling me how you're going to play the game. Are you going to be straight up combat? Are you going to be a speech person? Are you going to be thievery? And yeah, so I'm excited to see what people are going to play like. Now, if I head over to the map right here, you can see that I have taken off all filters other than fast travel points and skill trainers. So if I go over here to the nomads camp, you can see there's quite a few skill teachers over here, and essentially what these people are is you pay them money for them to train you for like an hour of in real game time, and then it will build up your experience in something. So for instance, if I go to a horse guy and I get him to teach me horse beginner for 100, I'll gain a little tiny bit towards my horsemanship. They do up to 500. You know, you can spend money up to I think like 2,500 later on in the game, so you're going to need a lot of money to go to them and learn skills. Other than that, you just use the skills and variations of things to do with the skills for you to level up their experience. For instance, something as simple as vitality, which we'll talk about. Just you running around like this gains you XP, jumping over stuff gains you XP, and you know, it's just very intrinsic to what you are doing. So let's go visit one of those skill trainers. So it turns out I've actually learned everything from every skill trainer in the first part of the game. So there'll be some footage on screen of me showing you something that I previously recorded, but I wanted to also talk about and show skill books. So I have one in my inventory here, I believe. Yeah, Composition of Alchemy 2. Now I've already read this book, so I don't need to read it again at the moment. But what this will do is you'll read it, you'll study it over a certain amount of time, and it'll give you a big boost to your XP towards that skill. So for instance here, Composition of Alchemy, if I look at it, it'll tell me to study. I can't do that because I've already done it, but usually it's about a 5-hour in-game wait, and once it's done, it's done. You can only read a certain amount a day, so you just need to sleep between reading books, but these books are scattered everywhere. You can buy them from people, you can steal them from people, you can steal them from castles and chests and everywhere possible you can think of. More specifically, there's going to be a lot of these types of books around scribes in the different towns, so keep an eye out for them and study them and get some XP. But now let's talk about perks that you should be looking out for at the start of the game. Now, one of the things we're going to look at first is the main level. So these are your main level perks. These just grow as you're doing everything in the game. Any agility, strength, vitality, speech based stuff you do that you level up, you also level up your main level. And I believe that there are some perks here that you choose where other ones will disappear. For instance here, Opportunist, it's exclusive with Charming Man. So I think if you take one, you can't take the other. However, I think this is just for the main level perks. Everything else doesn't have an option like that. So I chose Charming Man. If you gain reputation, the increase will be 10% higher, as opposed to the other one, Opportunist, which is if you lose reputation, the drop will be 10% less. I have noticed throughout the game that I'm getting a lot more reputation ups than downs, so this was the perfect pick for me at level 6. Next up we have Berger, but I don't know how you pronounce it. It's at level 10, and in towns and villages and their surrounding areas you gain +1 bonus to strength, agility, vitality and speech. Specifically speech, that's very, very good because you're going to do a lot of skill checks in a lot of towns and you just want a little bit of an improvement there. Again, another one of those choices at level 10, Martin's Heritage. You will improve faster in sword fighting, crafting and survival skills, which I think is way more important than the opposing perk that you could choose, which is shooting, scholarship and heavy weapons. Now I knew I was going to be using the sword, so it was just a no-brainer for me, is just taking Martin's Heritage. And then also as well, Good Natured. It's easier for you to convince others the nice way. You gain +2 to persuasion, impression and presence. So I was going for more of a speech based build instead of the criminal element, which is criminal brands will disappear a quarter faster. With a brand scar, you'll sell stolen goods for 10% more, look more menacing and gain a +2 bonus to coerce, dominate and dread. That wasn't a part of my game plan gameplay, so I didn't bother taking it, but if that's what you want to do, you should do it. Another perk that is very good at an earlier level is Driven by Vengeance. I haven't taken this yet because I was just trying out a couple of other things, but after killing an opponent in close combat, you gain 10% more attack damage and faster stamina recovery. So if you're fighting more than one enemy at a time, this will do very well. However, I found that at the start of the game, I was more block riposte. So for me now, where I am with my build and my armors and everything that I can do, this would be way more rewarding to use. So the next perk point that I get, or the next chance I get to level this up, that's what I'm going to be taking. Other than that, the things you want to look out for is carrying capacity, but that's a higher level at level 16. So one of the things I would say for you to take at the level before that is Blood of Siegfried. In combat, you are far more resilient than a mere mortal. Your armor will be 10 points higher at all times. So, you know, I know it's level 14, but you are going to get there quicker than you think. However, the ones at level 8 and level 10 we've discussed, I think, are the better perks. Now, let's look at strength. I haven't bothered building my strength up that much, to be fair. You get it from doing combat and just some other few things here and there. So I went with hardworking lad as soon as possible, because picking up a sack, which you do for a couple of side quests, or picking up a dead body to hide it, it only counts as half, which means you can move faster. That is very useful, but also as well, your carrying capacity goes up, so you're getting 2 good benefits very early into the game, and carrying capacity you're going to find you're going to need more of. Pack Mule, another way to get your carrying capacity up, and when you can, Strong as a Bull. So they're 3 early perks you can get for getting your carrying capacity up. And then at level 10, Tight Grip. The higher your strength skill, the easier it will be for you to knock someone out or kill them stealthily. I had a stealth build, so this came in very useful. As you can see, I haven't really got that many perks in strength, so it's not as, you know, important as you might think. So agility has a whole bunch of good perks. However, I think featherweight is one you want straight away. Fall damage is reduced by 30%. I cannot tell you how many times I fell off things and died, so this would be very, very useful. We also have Dominant Hand, which I knew I was going to build into before I started the game, which is to use one-handed weapons. But if you use it without a shield, attacks cost 20% less stamina, and blocking will cost less stamina and be more effective. So I just ditched my shield and I just started using one-handed weapons, and I haven't looked back yet because this perk is really, really good. And then we have Nimble Stance to help with that blocking. Dodges cost 40% less stamina, because if you're not going to be using your shield, you're going to be dodging around people, especially in unarmed combat as well. So those are 3 really good early perks to have. So Vitality probably has the most important perks just in general. Everything here is very, very good. You're going to be picking these up as they come. You know, I don't even need to show them to you, because you're going to get everything you possibly can. So Nourishment will decrease by 30% slower. That should be the first thing you get, you know, so you don't have to worry too much about food off the bat. Thick Blooded will allow you to bleed slower, so you can get your bandages in time or get to a place where you can heal. Very good also. Then we have Next to Godliness, which I really liked. So every time you use a washing tub or a pier or a bathhouse, you get 10 points of health back immediately. And then if you go to sleep, you'll heal 25% faster. So if you want to heal up relatively quickly, if you've not got many potions yet, if you haven't started Alchemy, this is a really good quick way of getting a little bit of health back and surviving. Then Marathon Runner, when sprinting, you consume stamina 20% slower. Everything in this hole here is really good, but those are the ones I'd choose off the bat. Speech at the start of the game is not difficult, but it can just be neither here nor there. Sometimes you'll win, sometimes you won't. So Silver Tongue is really good right off the bat. You gain +4 speech while haggling, so you can try and get more money for the things that you're selling, which will help you get other stuff as well. Then Jack of all trades, so you gain a bonus of +2 to skill checks, so those skill checks get a little bit easier as well. And then a little bit later on at level 12, Battle Cry is really good. You get to use it in combat and you deal 10% more damage for 20 seconds, so, you know, very useful. But speech, you know, if you go that way, those are the perks I would choose, or I did choose. So Alchemy here has a lot of different perks that don't particularly go straight to Alchemy, which is really strange. Your effects of potions and stuff will last longer, which is fine, decent, you know, it works. Nothing I've really noticed much of, but Art of Preservation is really good at the start of the game, because raw food and herbs will spoil 50% slower, and you want that because you're going to be doing so much, you're going to be so overwhelmed, you're going to forget to dry the food to preserve them, and this will just allow you to have more time to do that. Enthusiast is really good if you're going to take up Alchemy straight away, because your energy will replenish and your nourishment will not decrease, so you're not going to have to worry too much about healing yourself while you're doing loads of Alchemy stuff. And Secret of Equilibrium is also really good, so it's going to basically just allow you to make minor errors and still get potions. Now, Secret of Matter 1 isn't in this list for some reason, and I can't remember how I got it, but at level 14, I know it's a little bit later on, this is a really, really good perk. I just wanted to point it out. So essentially you'll be able to make a potion, and if you do really well, you'll get the top quality and you'll get 5 of those potions. Definitely worth getting when you can. And then, you know, if you want to sell stuff and that, you can pick those as well, but I just don't think they're that useful. Poison Specialist actually could be really useful, but I didn't bother with arrows until later on in the game, and I haven't bothered with poison since. But, you know, those few perks for me are really good. So for Craftsmanship, I would go with Razor Sharp. So when you sharpen a weapon, you get more damage for a certain amount of time. So that's pretty good. And then Thorough Maintenance, your gear will be damaged 10% slower, so you don't have to repair it as often, is also really good. And then Hardened Steel, the weapons you forge will have excellent properties, therefore take damage 20% slower, so they last longer too. And then when you can, at level 16, make sure you get Martin's Secret. This will allow you to be able to forge weapons up to the 4th and highest quality, and anything in the game that you can steal, make, or whatever, Martin's Secret will be better than all of them. So definitely worth getting when you can. Drinking, I haven't personally bothered with, so I'm not going to bother diving into that. You can check that out when you can, because I don't know what good perks are there because I've never done it. Horsemanship will just happen as you are going. You don't have to worry about leveling this up, but you want things that will basically help your horse be good at horse racing, if that's what you want to do. So, you know, if you get a quick start, your horse will run briefly faster. Ride like the wind, obviously, you know, your horse will consume stamina 5% less. I haven't bothered too much with horsemanship because I don't think it's really worth investing time into. But Final Stretch is really good. So when your stamina is about to run out, you can spur it on and you get a big bump back of stamina, which means you don't have to slow down. It won't kick you off and stuff like that. Houndmaster is just so easy to level up. I've actually got rid of my dog now because all he does is get in the way. I'm probably going to pick him back up. But he does have bad AI at the moment, and I think they're fixing it, but when the full game comes out, it should be fixed by then. There are a few things that you don't need at the start of the game. So Hunt, I have never used whatsoever. I feel like you could probably make it worth using, but for me, just not worth it. Search is something you can use in a few different quests. So like a quest person will be like, oh, can you get your dog to smell this and follow him? However, there are other indications within the quest. You don't have to rely on the dog. You just find some blood on the floor, examine it, follow the trail, etc. The dog makes it a little bit easier. So search might be worth getting, but you know, you're not going to need it. This is a really good one, Loyal Companion. When Mutt flees, the time it takes for him to come back is a quarter shorter. You will often at the start of the game find that Mutt gets beat up by enemies and runs away and disappears. This will just allow him to come back more often, which will allow him to get more XP and then get better perks. Charming Companion is really good if you're going a speech route because you get your charisma improved, which means you're going to win skill checks more often. But again, if you're not playing that route, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you do, don't get bark. Bark just doesn't work at the moment. I have put this thing to be barking. You'll just bark once and then run off. It's so infuriating because this would be really, really good and useful. However, I haven't needed it personally, so maybe you don't need it. The dog really is just what you want to do with it, to be fair. Now, Scholarship has Wonders of Man. You improve faster in Craftsmanship and Thievery skills, and experience you gain will be 20% higher. Same with Wonders of Nature. These are both really good to get earlier. You get Survival and Alchemy, and you know, just things like that will allow you to level up quickly. Now, Liberal Arts you need, and it will be able to recognize the difficulty of skill checks. So for instance, it will just say easy, medium, hard. You pick the easy one, you're more likely to win that conversation. And then you've got Fundamentals of Law, which is speech and charisma will count as 2 higher when dealing with guards, which is very useful at the start of the game. The other ones, neither here nor there. But when you can, at level 18, get Explorer, it will reveal the whole map and you can just make things a little bit easier. If you're going to play stealth, you're going to be doing a lot of stealth kills. So you want one way or another. So if they defend against you and you don't get the stealth kill off, they'll suffer penalties to their stats, which will make it a little bit easier for you to fight. So definitely worth getting. Ordinary Man, people will forget the crimes you've committed more quickly. It also reduces the chance of guards wanting to search you, so if you've got anything stolen, you can get away with it a lot easier. And Rodent, you'll make 25% less noise when you sneak indoors, and the door opening will be half as loud. These are things that you're going to need off the bat if you're stealing and thieving and stuff like that. For survival, I would go with Master Cook. So anything that you dry and preserve will go straight back to 100% condition and not go anywhere else. So if you've got like a piece of meat that's on 1 condition and you dry it, it'll jump back up to 100%, and that's really, really useful. And honestly, anything else after that is just whether or not you want to take it. So, you know, Lucky Find was pretty fun for me. When collecting herbs, you have a chance to find additional herbs or a small treasure. I haven't really seen much small treasure, but I've got herbs that I never saw before by doing this, so that's definitely a good thing to look at as well. Now, for Thievery, rapid flight is the most important thing to take straight away. So if you fail to return through the doorway during the robbing people's pockets game, you won't alert them and you'll have a 3-minute cooldown on that, but it will save you from getting caught if you mess up the game at the very start of the game. So definitely worth taking. Houndmaster is also very good. Your lockpicks will be more durable and last longer before breaking. They do break very easily, and you don't get a lot of lockpicks at the start of the game, so definitely worth picking up. Then, to go with my swords build, using a one-hand weapon on its own, you will deal 10% more damage, which is back alley skirmisher. So that's very good if you go in the way of having one weapon. Then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, but for the early perks, those are the best ones in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to bother talking about each and individual weapon because it really depends on what you use. If you're going to go marksmanship, obviously you want to build that up. I went with swords specifically, so I can talk about that. And honestly, every single perk within all the weapons are very, very useful. So I can't even tell you do this one over that one, do this one over that one, because they're all really, really good. So for me, because of my build, the only one that I think is really worth mentioning is Gladiator, which is if you fight with a one-handed sword weapon and keep your other hand free, except for a torch, you gain +5 bonus to your sword fighting skill. Very, very useful. But I did want to talk about Warfare. So Warfare has a lot of great perks, but one of them that I really like is Against All Odds. When fighting against superior numbers, you gain a +2 bonus to strength, agility, and warfare skills. This, in my opinion, was my saving grace at the start of the game, because you find yourself fighting so many people so often that this really did help me fight them and beat them. And then you have things like Hardened Veteran, which allows your stamina to regenerate 10% faster. That's it really. That's all the perks, skill trees, books, everything you should be looking out for, in my opinion, at the start of the game. Let me know what you're thinking down below. Thank you for watching. I've been easy now. You guys have been awesome.